Hi guys, Jay Nelson here once again, back from the most boring room on all of YouTube. So, the number of tourists going to Japan has increased and increased and increased, and last year saw the highest number, the record number of tourists, which ended up being like 5 million more than the previous record, which was set just before COVID. I think the number was like 36 million people just in 2024 alone, which is insane. And one of the reasons for that is compared to other countries, and I mean other countries' currencies bringing that into Japan, Japan is very cheap. Now, the question is, living in Japan, is Japan very cheap? Now, it's quite a difficult question because it's easy to say, okay, a Big Mac in Japan is like 350 yen. That is very cheap compared to most other countries in the world. However, when you're comparing that to income, it doesn't actually seem so cheap at all. I think there was a news article the other day that said something like, the Big Mac to salary ratio, like actually Japan is not the cheapest in the world. I think something like Hong Kong ended up being cheaper or something like that. If you are coming to Japan from the UK, for example, where £1 is around 200 yen, £30,000 a year salary is going to be about 6 million yen, which is actually very, very good in Japan. A £30,000 salary in the UK might not last you if you are a family household, but a 6 million yen salary in Japan is actually manageable, even with like a 4-person household owning your own home. Now, the trouble is with Japan is it's quite difficult to get a 6 million yen salary unless you get lucky with the company you join, you get promoted. You're not really going to find any base jobs that pay 6 million yen. Even new Japanese graduates are like 3 million yen, maybe even less. Now, Japan does have an interesting system when it comes to salary, which is their bonuses. Now, of course, many countries in the world have bonuses, but Japan's system is quite set where if you are in a Japanese company, and this is where I stress a Japanese company because a lot of people might say, I don't get bonuses or I only get one bonus a year. This is like actually Japanese companies. They usually have 2 bonuses a year. Minimum for the most part is 1 month's salary for each bonus. So actually, when you calculate a salary when joining a company, it's usually set as 14 months. And if you're lucky, it could be 15 or 16, depending on where you work. It's usually quite rare for you to get less than a month's salary bonus. So for example, me and my wife both work full time. But actually, on top of that, I get 2 months as a salary. And actually, my wife's company actually pays 1.5 months for each bonus. So she gets 3 months a year. So together, we almost get half a year's salary in bonuses. Now, it could be said that this is basically just propping up a quite low salary. But if you work in a good company, that just props you up even more. Now, if you were to have a salary of about 3 million yen, which is what most English teachers are going to hopefully get, even if they're lucky, might end up being the case where you might be on 2.5 or 2.7, 2.8, depending on how low the salaries are getting now. Is living in Japan cheap for those people? You can make it cheap. You could have a very, very basic apartment or a share house. Even in Tokyo, you can get quite cheap lodgings. Even in Tokyo, you can get quite a cheap place to live if you live in a share house. And I've seen very small rooms quite far from the station for maybe 30 to 40,000 yen. Now, you got to take out pension and health insurance. You could be left with maybe 100,000 yen a month after rent and all those other things. That is very livable. However, Japan is quite lucky that there are quite a few cheaper supermarkets. When I lived in the Shibuya ward, Shibuya-ku, I lived next to a supermarket called Life Supermarket. And then about a 15-minute walk is my Heaven Supermarket, Gyoma Super. It has bigger, not quite like Costco, but it has bigger packs and a lot of frozen fruit and vegetables. So luckily, shopping at supermarkets is relatively affordable. There are some very expensive supermarkets. I can't remember the name, Seijiro or Seijo. It's a pink. I never shop there, so I can't quite remember the name. And then if you live in near, near Azabu and you've got the Nishin Delicatessen, it's not a supermarket you would go to on the weekly. And then if you do your shopping at the convenience store, it is going to seem very expensive. If you buy drinks or potato chips or stuff like that from the convenience store, your perception of how cheap Japan might be will be warped a little bit. A bottle of green tea from the convenience store might be 140 yen. But then if you buy it from maybe the supermarket, it might be 80 yen. McDonald's is another example. I mentioned the Big Mac thing before. But McDonald's Japan actually has this incredible deal, which is like, I think it's like Pote Nage Dai Setto or something like that. I can't remember the name. I've given up McDonald's for 2025. But you could get 2 large fries and 50 nuggets for like 800 yen, like £4. And that is not a joke. And then top that up with, I would get 2 chicken crisps, which were 180 yen each. My wife would get a burger, an apple pie. My daughter would get like the edamame corn and stuff like that. And it would be about 2,300 yen, about what, $15, £12 for 3 people. And then there'd be enough for the next day as well. McDonald's is relatively cheap. Eating out in restaurants is also relatively cheap. You can go to, a simple udon restaurant and get a large udon, a curry udon even, if you want something more substantial, for about 600, 700 yen. There's a nice karaage and skimen restaurant, which has like 6 pieces of karaage, a thick broth, and then noodles for about 1,100 yen. So it's very affordable to eat outside. Saizeriya, Gasto, those family restaurants, you can get like they're not great pizzas. I'm not going to say it's a great pizza. It's like 400 yen, like £2 for a pizza, which is edible. And if you've got a family and you're trying to save money, very, very easy to do. Homes and cars, I would say, they're expensive. Of course they're expensive. They've got to be expensive. It's a big purchase. My home was about 45 million yen for the house and the land. We designed it ourselves. It's a custom built. It's got a car parking space. It's got a garden, 4 bedrooms, 2 toilets, a kitchen, a living room, a bathroom. It's very, very good. It's very, very nice. It's brand new. It's ours. The land is ours. We only pay about 80,000 yen a month for the mortgage. Now, the mortgage is 35 years, which will take me up until I retire. But I'm not one of those people who considers property an asset. It's something that I have used for my life to improve my lifestyle. Maybe one day I might want a different house and we'll see what happened there. But I did not buy this place to have an asset that I can make money off. I just wanted a place that we love to live in. My daughter loves to live in. My wife loves to live in. My dogs are happy to live in. I've got an office. It's very, very nice. It's very, very affordable. As I said, 80,000 yen a month. So imagine £400, about $600 for a custom built 4-bedroom house, 45 minutes from Shinjuku. I would say if you can get a semi-decent paying job in Japan, especially if you get married and you're both working, though depending on the person, 2 full-time parents working while having children is not easy. We're actually in the middle of kind of rearranging our lifestyle so that one of us works less, so that we can take better care of our daughter as she starts elementary school. Spoiler, it's going to be me. I'm so excited. If you're very, very careful, if you budget, you can actually save quite a lot of money, have a nice lifestyle in Japan. And it's not so expensive that you're always going to be, a little bit on the edge about whether you can make it to the next month. All in all, I think Japan is very reasonable. I would say, in terms of comparing salary to lifestyle, it is a little bit on the cheap side. You can survive very, very easily and enjoy yourself. I'm very happy that I live here. What about you? What do you think? Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.